Without further ado, 2023 mock draft. The first overall pick, Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, we don't even have to waste no damn time there. A round of applause for the Spurs. That's a magnificent pull for them. This takes their franchise in a whole different stratosphere as far as direction. I'm loving everything that they got. It's now Keldon, Devin Vassell, Vic, Trey Jones. They got a bunch of cap space. They can eat some bad contracts to get some veteran presence in the locker room. I am very interested, though, to see how good Vic is going to be as a rookie. Because if Vic is the greatest prospect of all time that we've ever seen as a 7'5", agile center who can shoot a little bit, block a bunch of shots, cover a lot of ground. If he's like that, they already have some really good players that I think could be very good role players. I think Devin Vassell took some big steps last year. I've always loved Keldon Johnson and his growth as a player. Definitely got to start picking it up defensively now that he has somebody reliable behind him. Definitely interested to see how they plan on playing him. I've heard a lot of different perspectives about how to play Vic, whether he's going to be your 5, whether you're going to try to play a little 4 and 5 and have somebody, maybe bigger start with him to take on the responsibilities of guarding centers. I don't know if they want Vic guarding the Joel Embiids of the world from day one. That's all going to be interesting, but this is a dream scenario for basketball fans like us around the world where you have Greg Popovich and, this first-class San Antonio Spurs organization getting the quote-unquote greatest NBA prospect we've ever seen in this draft. So I think this is a perfect compliment. And if there was any other way there's no other way I would want it to be. I mean, it's cool. Charlotte could have been him and LaMelo. That would have probably been nice and a little fun. Houston would have been just star-studded with young talent. But when you look at the culture, you look at one of the greatest coaches of all time, and then the pieces they already have, it's a match made in heaven, right? Match made in heaven. So we got that one out the way. That was the easy one. This is the most controversial. We have the Charlotte Hornets on the clock. A lot of talk about what they should do. The first thing I'm going to say about this pick in general, and I'm gonna try to involve the chat as much as I can, but I do have to remember that I am doing this is a YouTube video as well. I want to make it clear that regardless of the conversations around this second pick, Charlotte is in a win-win because of, and I'm gonna click off for 1 second, and I'm gonna pull something up, right? Because I want to make sure we look at something so we can just because the conversation around what Charlotte should do, how they should go about it, it's been very interesting. Okay, now we're right back on Cam. So I'm gonna scroll down a little bit so y'all can see. I'm gonna scroll up a little bit so y'all can see. This is the recent draft picks for the Charlotte Hornets, right? And I'm gonna start here in 2019 because a lot of these draft picks. Oh, we'll even go back some. We'll go back some. So the Charlotte Hornets have an interesting draft history. I'll go back to let me see. They didn't have a draft pick here. Okay, we'll start here in 2004. This makes me feel old because I was definitely watching basketball at this time, and I definitely watched this NBA draft. Emeka Okafor went second overall. This is after him and UConn won the national championship. Him, Ben Gordon, incredible UConn team. Hilton Armstrong, I think, was on that team as well, who is now like an assistant coach with the Warriors. Emeka Okafor, this at the time was looked at as a good pick. It aged poorly just because Emeka Okafor was kind of undersized, 5, whatever, cool. This very next year, Michael Jordan with 2 lottery picks decides to take 2 UNC guys. These guys just had won a championship at UNC this year, by the way. Raymond Felton, Sean May, they had Rashard McCants on that team. This is the draft where Marvin Williams went second behind Andrew Bogut. A very weird draft year. Andrew Bogut was the man that year at Utah, though. But again, 2 picks that were just The Emeka Okafor pick at the time was cool, but it aged bad, and it turned out that was not the pick to have. Same thing the following year. The very next year, right? This is all consecutive years. Adam Morrison at 3. Adam Morrison was a very, very good college basketball player. At this time in 2006, the college basketball landscape was him or J.J. Redick. That was it. Every day, I wasn't even in middle school. This is like elementary school. It was like, I don't know how old some of y'all are, but when we were in middle school, it was like Kobe or LeBron. You either liked one or you didn't like the other. That's just what it was. You either Kobe or LeBron. And you would just argue all day in 6th and 7th grade about who was better. That's how it was with Adam Morrison and J.J. Redick. You either like J.J. Redick or Adam Morrison. There was no other, in between. Turns out, we know how that goes. Not a very good pick. Next year, holy cow. Another UNC guy, Brandon Wright, Brandon Wright had a cool career as a role player. I think Jared Dudley was a really good steal at 22 at Boston College. Jared Dudley was a bucket at Boston College. He had a real good game. But Brandon Wright, as y'all can see the theme that we're going on, they're missing on these lottery picks. They're missing. They understand the picks. Pick 2, pick 5, pick 3, pick 8. Next year out of Texas, DJ Augustine, again, a really good player, but they're not landing those guys. The very next year, Michael Jordan went to the opposite school, not North Carolina, but still in North Carolina at Duke. You get Jared Henderson. Jared Henderson, a really good player. He was a solid freshman at Duke. That was the lowest pick that we've seen thus far at 12, so we give him a little, and then boom. 2 years later, in 2011, you get Kemba Walker. They also drafted Tobias Harris, but they traded him to Tennessee. That would have been a really good draft if they could have kept him. And Kemba Walker is the guy out of these last few years that kind of stands out besides LaMelo. But then even after they get Kemba Walker, they go back to their old ways and they get Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. We know how that went. A year later at 4. Again, these are top picks. The second overall pick. And then the next year you get 4 after landing Kemba Walker at 9. They were supposed to have, a gold mine of a team to have 9, which ended up being a franchise player for a couple years. And then you get 2 and 4, and you line yourself up to be able to get some more talent, and you waste those picks. I hate to say it, no disrespect, on Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and Cody Zeller. And then the following year at 9 again, you take Noah Vonleh. It's like you can't. It's hard to say that you I don't know. I think it's hard to draft this bad is what I'm trying to say. You kind of have to go out of your way to draft this poorly. This is terrible. Besides Kemba Walker, a lot of this shit is just misses. And then the following year, after Noah Vonleh, you take Frank Kaminsky with the 9th pick. And then the next year, I guess they were a playoff team, so you get Malachi Richardson. That was a part of a trade. Even Malik Monk. Best version of him came way after Charlotte. You finally get one in Shea, and what do? You traded him to the Clippers. P.J. Washington was a good pick. I love this draft class. P.J., Cody, and Jalen McDaniels. Then you get LaMelo Ball, and the same type of thing where you land LaMelo Ball, who's your guy, but then the next year you get James Bouknight at 11. And then somewhere they got Kai Jones. Kai Jones was another selection, but he may have been a part of a trade, so they're not counting it as one of their picks. But long story short, the Charlotte Hornets, they're just terrible at drafting. LaMelo kind of landed in their laps because they had the 3rd pick, and it went Edwards, Wiseman, and then LaMelo just fell in their lap. Who knows what they would have done if they had to choose between somebody. But I said all of that to say, we went on all of that. We went off the railroad just to say this is a good situation. Brandon Miller or Scoot for the Charlotte Hornets in particular is a good problem to have. I'm tired of the conversation on TV, on Twitter, and the draft neither or is a bad mistake. If they get Scoot, incredible. You get another ball handler who can attack the rim, put pressure on the rim, crafty, athletic. He's going to be able to guard, I think. And then on the flip side, Brandon Miller is a 6'8", 6'9" guy who can score and shoot. And he's going to be a guy that can be a secondary ball handler / playmaker with LaMelo. He can operate out of pick and roll. He can play with LaMelo. They can get out on the floor. They can do a lot of fun shit. But those are 2 good talents that they're going to inherit. And it's almost impossible to fuck this up, is my point. I know a lot of people have who they like, and I have no problem with that. But my whole thing about this pick in particular is that we have to just applaud the fact that Charlotte can't mess this up. And if they do mess this up, then there's something going on with the organization and how they develop talent. But on paper, prospect by prospect, either or of these guys is going to give them the one glaring thing that they need and have needed since they've drafted LaMelo, which is talent. They lack talent. James Bouknight has been underwhelming. Mark Williams' first year, I thought was going to be a little bit better. It took forever for them to actually give him the minutes he deserved. And once he got him, he showed a lot of promise. So I'm just happy that they're going to get somebody who they should probably start from day one and pair with LaMelo to say, okay, we have some actual building blocks for our future. Because when you have LaMelo, you cannot afford to have James Bouknight type draft selections or Adam Morrison and Raymond Felton, Sean May, Noah Vonleh, Cody Zeller, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. They have a history behind this. So I'm happy for them, and I'm going to give a round of applause for the Hornets because I don't think they can mess this up with either or. With either or. Either or. Exactly, certified. I said the same thing. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, bring back P.J. Washington, and you still have Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward. His contract is going to expire after next year. You still have Mark Williams. I like Bryce McGowan's. There are some JT Thor. There are some things there, but they need that top end talent that they can lean on to make all of those guys better. They need that top end talent. When you have majority of the puzzle done, it's easier for those weird other pieces to fit in, to recognize where they belong because you have the majority of the puzzle fixed. And I think that's what's important for the Charlotte Hornets. If they can get LaMelo with somebody else, that makes a little bit more of the puzzle kind of complete, and they can just put in the other unique pieces where they belong and fit. So with all of that being said, I'm going to give them Brandon Miller. I just think this is the route to go. I have no hate or no argument for anybody that wants to take Scoot. I just prefer Brandon Miller on this particular team with LaMelo. That I think it's a lot easier fit. I think he is the real deal. When you talk about perimeter scoring, being able to play with the ball, without the basketball, the range, out of the pick and roll, they're going to be an extremely fun and dangerous team. And we've seen that this Hornets team with the proper talent around LaMelo can be explosive on the offensive end. They just need to be healthy, number one. And they need more high-end young talent to put with LaMelo so it isn't like LaMelo. And then some nights you got Gordon Hayward you're depending on. But even then, Gordon Hayward missed time. LaMelo missed time. P.J. Washington was missing time in and out the lineup. I think Kelly Oubre missed some time. But this team, they show a lot of promise when they're fully healthy without that type of talent. So now you add more, and shit, you trade a Terry Rozier for another first-round pick or some more young talent. I think you have something there. Clifford has proven himself to be a good defensive coach. Boom. I'm taking Brandon Miller. My face cam too big now? Yeah, my guy UK Rap Trash says, I'm going to do the whole first round, but my guy said he never seen a guy on a be great on a great college basketball team get so much hate. I think that's just where we at with draft conversations. When we get to the draft, it's so much time in between March and now June for the NBA draft that people try to nitpick so much of these prospects. There's holes in all of these guys' games. Number one, majority of them are 19. Jaylen Brown, who's about to get damn near $300 million on his max contract extension, Jaylen Brown, go look at his freshman year California highlights compared to now. Totally different player. Totally different player. I'm talking about totally different player. Jalen Brunson. Go look at Jalen Brunson and all of the holes they had in his draft notes when he was leaving Villanova and he was old. And then look at Jalen Brunson now. So it's like there's so much. There's positives and negatives for every player. It just is. I'm sorry. Besides Vic. And even Vic. I think Vic gets glorified a lot for the shooting that just isn't really there. When he makes the shots, it's like, damn, that dude can make it. But Vic ain't like lights out how they try to project him. Maybe he can be. I'm not saying he it's impossible, but they talk like he's shooting it like Porzingis, and he shoots it, but it's not how they make it seem. So, all of these guys got holes. With Brandon Miller going to Charlotte, this pick right here, it's a no-brainer. Scoot Henderson kind of lands in the lap of the Portland Trailblazers. For me, that really pushes this guy out of the door. And I'm just being honest. I love Damian Lillard. I love his loyalty. I love his passion. I love his mindset and how he goes about things and how he wants to be true and not, necessarily run from the grind. But I don't think Damian Lillard's position is running from the grind. I look at running from the grind as if Damian Lillard forced himself to go to the Nuggets. You know what I'm saying? Or if Damian Lillard forced himself to go to the Warriors or something like that. But if Damian Lillard just gave, I don't know how many years, 11, 12 years to Portland, and we all watched it and witnessed it. He tried every single thing he could do to win there, and it just can't happen. None of us are going to look at him any different. His legacy isn't going to change because it's time for him to leave. It's literally time for him to leave. They have the 3rd overall pick. It's Scoot Henderson, who's a point guard. They have Anthony Simons. They have Shaedon Sharpe, Cam Reddish. They have a bunch of young guys who they need to just let freely run, and they need to trade Damian Lillard for more assets to put around those 3 guys going forward. And this is the sign. You know how people be in the movies or in a TV show like, God, give me a sign. This is the sign for the Blazers and Damian Lillard to part ways. And it's kind of like 2 people who are in a relationship and everything and everybody is telling them to break up, and they're like, I ain't gonna break up with them. I'm not. And the other person like, I ain't breaking up either. But one person's like, I want to be married. The other person's like, I don't want to be married. And that's what the Blazers are. Damian Lillard is in every interview saying he wants to play for a championship and contend. And everything that the Blazers are doing says they want to rebuild. It's just no one wants to commit to the breakup. Damian Lillard doesn't want to be the one to have to force the trade. And the Blazers don't want to be the team that trades the guy that was loyal to them and did him dirty. But it's like the writing's on the wall, man. It's time. It's time. It's long overdue. The Trailblazers get Scoot. They have a backcourt of him and Anthony Simons. Shaedon Sharpe is going to play on the wing. And shit, they're going to collect assets and push forward to next year and hope that, in the next couple of drafts, they can get some front court talent to put with this explosive backcourt. But you're going to have a fun young team with Shaedon Sharpe on one wing, Simons on the other, and Scoot coming down full throttle. He throws it up. Shaedon Sharpe jumps out of the gym, dunks it, and boom, the crowd goes wild for their 17th win of the season. But it's fun. So I got Scoot going there. The Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets, kind of similar situation with the Trailblazers. I think their shit is just direct. They're going to take Amen Thompson, a guy that I had a pleasure speaking to, him and his brother at the draft combine, two really good guys. They seem to have their heads on right. I really buy into their character and, how much they dedicate themselves to the game. A lot of conversation around these two about the fact that they play for Overtime Elite. I get it. Overtime Elite is an up-and-coming league that isn't as solidified as college basketball. They don't have the type of pro-level players like the G League. I get that. And in a lot of scenarios, that is important, your competition. But a lot of the traits that both of these guys possess, me as an evaluator, I can still see and process how lethal it is. So no matter what competition level you're playing against, a quick, crazy first step translate. A great first step is a great first step. It don't matter if you're playing against me or Kevin Porter Jr. A great first step is a great first step. Athleticism shows and shines whether you're playing against me or at fucking Duke. A 40-inch vertical is a 40-inch vertical. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I evaluate these guys. Yeah, you want to see them play against the highest level of competition. That's no fucking secret. But the fact is, they played at Overtime Elite. We have to use the information and the footage and the film that we have to evaluate. And that's just what it is. We cannot sit here and complain about the competition level the whole fucking draft process. It is what it is. Deal with it. That's how it was in the early 2000s when guys were coming out of high school. It just was what it was. So I'm taking him in here. I think he's going to be good with this team. Him, Jalen Green in the backcourt. Kevin Porter Jr. is probably now your sixth man. I like Tari Eason at the 3. Jabari Smith Jr. at your 4. Alperen Sengun is now your 5. And like I said, off the bench, you got Kevin Porter Jr. You still got Kenyon Martin Jr., who I like. Jayshawn Tate. It's a nice group of young players. Usman Garaba can be your backup 5. You have another pick at 20. The Houston Rockets are coming together. They also have almost $60 million in cap space. So they can go out and try to bring in some veteran presence. The only thing that's tricky with them is if they want to spend their money, which they're going to because you have to, where do they spend it is my question. Because they're running into a situation where, like I said, I named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we won't even name Jayshawn Tate because they could trade him. They're not that tied up to Jayshawn Tate. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 plus you now have Amen at 7. So you have 7 bodies already. A lot of teams at most run a 10-man rotation throughout the regular season. And if you make the playoffs, it shortens up to 7 to 9 man. So if you already committed to 7 young players, I'm trying to figure out who are you bringing in with $59 to $60 million and letting them play. I mean, Dylan Brooks could fit this team. Ime said that he wanted more front court help behind Sengun. So we'll see what they do at 20, but they definitely have to spend some money this offseason. What about Dylan? Yeah, see, Dylan Brooks will be good. I can see Dylan Brooks going there, giving them some wing help. Fred VanVleet, I like Fred VanVleet. Dewey, I like those. Those have been the ones that I've seen. I like that. I would like that. The only thing about Pat Bev is Pat Bev, the money ain't there. You can give enough money to Fred, Brooks, and Brooke to fill out the $60 million, but Pat Bev, you better not get no bag. The one positive about Pat Bev is Pat Bev you can give a 1-year deal to, probably. I don't think Fred is taking a 1-year deal. Brooke is at the last step of his career. He's probably not taking a 1-year deal unless you really, really load it up. And, Dylan Brooks, I don't know what Dylan Brooks would do as far as length of contract. I want to see what some of y'all saying about overtime. The overtime elite did play against Mega Jokic Euro team and Nikola Jurassic, and they played well. That is a fact. I wish they'd have played more, but I remember that week or weekend stretch where they played over there, or they were playing against those teams. I like some of the names y'all naming. What about Grant? Grant Williams will be good. This is fanspo. I'm sorry. Next pick, Detroit Pistons, kind of the same situation as the Houston Rockets, where they have a abundance of young talent. The only difference is they already have a kind of vet guy who I think is meshes well with their young talent in Bojan Bogdanovic. New coach in Monty Williams that they paid buku money to. Going forward, you have an explosive, dynamic, athletic backcourt with Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. The 3 position is Bojan. The 4 can also be Bojan. And then the 5 is something we talked about on the Through the Wire podcast, where we were trying to figure out. I think Jalen Duren is definitely the starting center. Derek was vouching for James Wiseman because he started, a lot of the games in the late part of the season. I'm going to give them Cam Whitmore out of Villanova. Me personally, I'm probably going to do something different in my What Would Pee Wee Do draft, but I can see them going Cam Whitmore. Your first 3 being Cade, Ivy, Whitmore. That's a lot of athleticism, explosiveness, and some perimeter shooting that I think is going to translate. I buy into Cam Whitmore being able to be a standstill 3-point shooter off the dribble, mid-range, still questionable. But if he can tap into that, he can be an entirely different player. And then you put Bojan at the 4, you have Duren at the 5, and off your bench, but you got Killian Hayes, Hamid Diallo, Wiseman, Isaiah Stewart. There's a lot of different things you can do there. Isaiah Stewart is, to me, more of a 4 than a 5, so I think he can eat up some minutes at the 4 there. But I like Cam Whitmore here for sure. And then for Orlando at 6, I extremely like Ausar Thompson. I know they need perimeter shooting. And I know when it comes to the Thompson twins, their biggest question marks is the perimeter shooting. If there is one Thompson twin that I'm going to buy into as far as the shooting, it's Ausar. Ausar is the one. But it's a few traits about the Thompson twins that it makes it extremely hard to pass up. The athleticism, the size, the feel for the game, and the defensive tools and instincts that they have. Those certain things are qualities that you just can't teach. You can't teach athleticism. I can't go and hire somebody and they're going to teach me how to be athletic. They can teach me how to get the most out of my athleticism, but some of the athleticism and explosiveness and certain things that players have, the makeup, the DNA, that's just who you are and it's inside of you. They have a lot of that. They also have something that I like, which is the ability to have feel. They strike me as guys from film and from talking to them as guys who play basketball all the time. It's all they do. All they know and all they do is basketball. They talk it, they watch it, they play it non-fucking stop. It shows in the film. Anthony Black is another one of these guys where they just see shit and do shit that you can only get from watching, playing, and thinking the game 24/7. When it's all you do, certain shit it's just instinctively, and it shows in their film from some of the passes they make, the defensive anticipation. Part of that is them playing an overtime elite too. The competition level, some of the passes you see other teams trying to throw are just outrageous, and they just tip them off. But there is stuff in the film that you're like, you can't pass on it. And the biggest hole in their game is something that can be taught. A jump shot is something we've seen prospects be taught. John Wall couldn't fucking throw a rock in the ocean when he came into the league. And he worked with Sam Cassell in those early days with the Wizards, and he became a mid-range maestro, taking guys off the dribble. They're scared that he's going to beat them, and out of nowhere, he pulls up at the elbow, and that mid-range jumper alleviated a lot in John Wall's game. It taught him how to slow down, how to have pace, how to play in control. It made him a better passer because now you're worried about his drive. You're worried about the mid-range shot. The defense is trying to collapse a lot more earlier. Now you got guys like Jared Dudley, Rashard Lewis, Swaggy P, Bradley Beal, who else? Trevor Ariza, getting all these type of open, Kelly Oubre. And it was a thing that John Wall gets you paid because John Wall is going to create and generate three-point opportunities for guys in the corners and on the wings, and boom. And even Derrick Rose jump shot was outrageous when he came into the league. It was taught. There's a lot of guys you can see just be taught to have a respectable enough jump shot. And if guys like this, 6'7", jump out of the gym, they guard. They, like I said, they have feel. They know what to do with their athleticism and explosiveness. Those are traits that you can't pass on. So I know a lot of people looking at Orlando, and every time I read or hear or talk with people about Orlando, it's like they got to get shooting. But if you can put out a lineup with Ausar, Franz, Paolo, Wendell, Markelle, and you have a pick at 11, Bol is still on this team, Jonathan Isaac, whenever he's going to get healthy, this team is talented. Caleb Houston, who's a 6'8", 6'9" forward. Take Ausar, man. Take Ausar. Don't overthink it. The Pacers at 7. This roster, Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Benedict Mathurin, Miles Turner, who had a really, really good year, in my opinion, last year. I love Andrew Nembhard. He was one of my guys last year. Chris Duarte is a good, smooth player. Aaron Nesmith had his biggest year last year with them and a change of scenery. Jalen Smith was a little bit disappointing. He's a guy that could have a bounce-back year. But I'm still going to give them Jarace Walker. And it came out today that the Pacers aren't going to let Jarace Walker pass 7. Jarace Walker, he is, how do I phrase this? He's the guy that can change a lot. Jarace Walker may not be the MVP from this draft class. He may not have the most all-star appearances from this draft class, but he may be the guy that wins the most because his game is to do everything that the team needs on that any given night. I've seen Jarace Walker hit threes, mid-ranges, pick and pop, spotting up. I've seen him make incredible passes and reads as a 4. I've seen him handle the ball in the pick and roll. I've seen him be the screener in the pick and roll. I've seen him guard the perimeter. I've seen him guard the interior. I've seen him get steals. I've seen him get blocks. It's not much he can't do on the basketball court. And if you're putting that with a Miles Turner who can stretch the floor, with a Tyrese Halliburton who's a pick and roll maestro, with a Benedict Mathurin who's an explosive wing scorer who I think is going to project to be a lot better of a defender, especially if he has Jarace Walker and Miles Turner behind him, he's going to win a lot of fucking games. This dude he reminds me a lot of like Draymond Green. Seriously. And somebody in here saying we really overhyping Calmer Isaiah Stewart. If you think this is Isaiah Stewart, if you want to. If Isaiah Stewart had his feel, his passing, his game, the Pistons would be a different team. Think that that's Isaiah Stewart. You might look at how they look and the fact that they sent. Y'all got to stop comparing players based off how they look. He looked like him, so he's Isaiah Stewart. Hey, Naran, there's no Isaiah Stewart hate. I'm just saying the facts. Isaiah Stewart, really good player, was good at Washington, but it's a reason why these two guys drafting in two different ranges. Isaiah Stewart was picked in outside of the lottery. Jarace Walker would not fall past 7. Just saying. I'm just saying Jarace Walker is going to win a lot of NBA games because he does whatever the fuck the team needs. Now here at 8, Fanspo ain't upgrade this, but there's no Bradley Beal. The trade isn't official, but Kristaps Porzingis is a Celtic, right? Kyle Kuzma opt out. No way in hell he's coming back. In a dream scenario for Washington, Ausar is still here. I'm sure that's the type of situation they want. They want a player that they can just take and have a bunch of upside because they don't have anything here. Anthony Black, Cason Wallace, those are two guys that are ideal if this is exactly what the roster was going to look like. But because he's now gone, he's gone, you have a team that's going to have Marcus Morris, Landry Shamet, Daniel Gafford, Monte Morris, DeLon Wright, Denny, Johnny Davis, Corey. Like, this team is going to be very, very bad next year. They're not going to be a good team at all. If I'm the Wizards, I'm just looking for somebody who I think has some upside and can do something with the guys that we have. You draft Anthony Black with this team, Anthony Black is not going to look good. That's just my personal opinion. I think Anthony Black is a guy who thrives around other talented players. He's a basketball player. He's not a guy you just hand the ball to and you say, make something happen. No, he needs to create shots for Bradley Beal. He needs to create shots for Porzingis. He needs to create shots for Kyle Kuzma. You take these 3 guys away, and now Anthony Black is creating shots for Kendrick Nunn, you're going to fuck him up. So I don't think you go Anthony Black here. Grady Dick, you absolutely don't go here. What's the difference between Grady Dick and Corey Kispert? Grady Dick is younger. He has more upside. That would be the only difference. Okay, as of right now, I think Grady Dick will be a better pro. No disrespect to either or. I do think Grady Dick will be a better pro, but they're just sharpshooting guys who you hope can do more in the NBA. Bilal, right? Bilal is interesting. Bilal is interesting here because when you talk about the word upside, he's the guy that has it. But the thing is, like Anthony Black, if you take him here, because he's not playing with shit else, you could fuck him up. Low confidence, fuck up, you know what I mean? Just like, it could be bad because he's not a self-creator. His most valuable trait is on a defensive end. This team is not going to be competing worth shit. So I want no. And then when you look down, it just get worse and worse. So for me, it makes this pick obvious. Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks is 19 years old. He's a 6'9" power forward. You put him in here with fucking, I don't know, Monte Morris, Marcus Morris, Johnny Davis, and Daniel Gafford. Him and Daniel Gafford can block some shots. Let him shoot as many jump shots he want. Let him work on his game, finishing near the rim. You know what I mean? And just give him some reps. But I think he's a guy who could just play. They can go and sign somebody in free agency and let them just come and work. And he can just get some reps early. But he is upside. When you talk about upside in a draft board, he, to me, is the highest upside player left because there's no Thompson twin or anybody, or Cam Whitmore still on the board. You take Taylor Hendricks, and he's your 4 going forward, and you put people around him that's going to bring out his game. You know, put the ball in Denny hands. Him, Denny, you know, the front court don't sound that bad. Denny, Taylor Hendricks, and Daniel Gafford defensively, that's not that bad. It's just about the backcourt because it's Monte Morris and it's Johnny Davis. I don't know what their free agency is going to look like. It's hard to tell exactly what the cap is going to look like after all of those moves and trade. It should open up a lot of fucking money, though. But I'm taking Taylor Hendricks right there if I'm the Wizards. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know no other way. Verified, what up? I appreciate the sub. Anybody that's subbing and gifting, I got the sound turned off in this scene, so I apologize if I'm not hearing it or I couldn't acknowledge it. But thank you to everybody. Time for Johnny to cook. Hey, you hope so. I hope so. The next pick is the Utah Jazz at 9. Somebody said they're gonna be in the Somebody said that they're gonna be in. Somebody said they're gonna be in the draft. I'm gonna be in the draft. I hope you are in the draft. P overthinking it. AB is a pick there as a Anthony Black fanatic. I pray he don't go to Washington. That would be horrible. This is the pick. Anthony Black to the Utah Jazz. Anthony Black comes in. He's going to play for what the fuck? My mind is going blank. I feel so horrible. Will Hardy. Thank you. Shit. I almost said Quinn Snyder. Thank you. He's going to come play for Will Hardy. Will Hardy is an amazing coach from the Popovich tree, the Spurs organization, and we saw that last year. The way that they play, ball movement, incorporating everybody. You already have a defensive anchor in Walker Kessler. Now you have a point of attack defender. He may struggle early on because he's going to be a rookie, but with his size, his playmaking, his team play, his feel for the game, you put that in with Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji in year 2, Walker Kessler year 2. I think you have something here. They're also going to have another pick at 16 or something like that. So I think the Jazz could have an incredible draft. It starts with getting Anthony Black, and they've been rumored to be trying to trade up because they want Anthony Black, and I see why they want Anthony Black. If you have a front court of Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler with Anthony Black as your point guard, the pieces to the puzzle are puzzling. And then you have Jordan Clarkson still. You have Colin Sexton, Taylor Horton-Tucker. These are just guys that you can do trades and stuff with. But I like the building block of the future for Utah with Anthony Black, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, and Ochai Agbaji, and whoever you take later on in the draft. The Mavericks. This is where the mock draft get tough because everything that I'm seeing and everything that I'm reading, the Mavericks don't want to make a pick here. They don't. They want to trade with the Hawks. They want Clint Capella. The Hawks want them to also take John Collins. They want to bring back Kyrie and Luka, and they want it to be like Clint Capella in the front court, and they want to trade their pick and have a later pick. They want to do some type of swap with the Atlanta Hawks, and they want to get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. They want to get rid of Davis Bertans. They want to get rid of Maxi Kleber, maybe Reggie Bullock, maybe JaVale McGee, and they want to bring in like Clint Capella or something like that. And I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not mad at them wanting Clint Capella. I think Clint Capella would be very, very good with this team. But because we're not going to make a trade, if they were to stay here, I give them Derek Lively. Derek Lively, it's a little bit earlier than you probably would expect to see him, but I think teams like the Mavericks, they have to take what they need. I think this is a pick that you saw the Phoenix Suns make when they took Cam Johnson. Sometimes you just have to get your guy that you need and fits what you do. I think Derek Lively will be perfect here. I think he would be an incredible screener, roller, and a rim protector. 7'2", lob threat, rim protector, and they're saying a shot maybe can progress down the line. I would love to buy into that. If he can extend his shot, I think Derek Lively is in the mold of the Mitchell Robinsons of the world. These are the new centers. The centers were like this back in the day, were like Tyson Chandler's. That's why Tyson Chandler is my favorite center of all time. But somewhere in the mix, we got so caught up in the early 2010s to 20, down the line with the unicorns. We were so infatuated with centers who could maybe bring the ball up and shoot threes and pop. And then everybody started to see the unicorn centers. They lack toughness, they lack durability. They're soft. They don't rebound. They don't block shots that much, or they get in foul trouble. And now we're back to the point where people just want rim running, screen setting, rim protecting centers. We're back there where everybody wants a Mitchell Robinson right now. Everybody wants a Nicholas Claxton. Everybody wants a Jared Allen. There's just set screens, catch the ball, dunk it, and block a shot. That's it. Fuck the dribbling. Fuck the post spin mid-range. Fuck the little short hook arm DeAndre Ayton shot. Oh, I need a post touch. No. Come set the screen, roll, catch it, be able to make a pass out of the short roll, or grab that bitch and dunk it. Simple. Exactly. It's a guards league right now. It's perimeter centric. So with all the space, it doesn't make sense for a center to not roll into that space and fucking dunk the ball. Don't pop out of the space. Like, you know what I'm saying? If everything is spread on the floor, why would a center set a screen and roll and pop out of the space? You're popping into the defense instead of rolling into the space that's open. Because if you have a dynamic guard like a Luka or Kyrie, two guys are going to have to show on that. You two guys got to show on it. You don't want Kyrie and Luka to just be getting switches, because then now they're going for 40 apiece. We're back with the Magic at 11. So they took Ausar Thompson with the 6th pick. We talked about the need for shooting. You have Grady Dick there. You still have Cason Wallace up here. You have Keontae George, Jordan Hawkins. I'm going to give them Jordan Hawkins. Sniper. I just, when you talk about shooting and how the shooting was off of the screens, running around, scoring in bunches, getting hot, this is the guy. And I understand a lot of people. I did this on Pick a Side last night, and somebody, I think it was maybe Joel, he took Grady Dick. That's cool. I'm taking Jordan Hawkins. I love the way that Jordan Hawkins shot the ball last year. And what he did for UConn, and how he was still able to get his shit off even after being the number one option, guarded tightly, and still was able to produce. So give me Jordan Hawkins. And I think if you put a sniper like him, and I talked to him personally, he told me people don't know how well he can put the ball on the floor yet. People think he's just a catch and shoot guy because that's all he did for UConn to win. But he says he has a bag and can create for himself. And I think if this is your draft as the Magic with Jordan Hawkins and Ausar Thompson, you're going to win draft night, because you're going to take them and put them with Franz, Markel, Wendell, and Paolo. Boom. Jordan Hawkins. 12th. It's easy, right? This is so obvious and easy that this is what Sam Presti's going to do. Bilal Coulibaly. Right to the Thunder. And all of us are going to be like, how did the rest of the NBA allow them to take him at 12? How? How do we let the rich get richer? The Thunder continue just become this team that just has so much shit, man. They're going to have him now, Shea, Giddey, Jalen Williams. Obviously, you would love to get a front court prospect, but as you can see on the board, You got Jalen Hood, Shafino, Nick Smith, Cason Wallace, Keontae George, Kobe Buffkin. I can see as well, but I like Bilal here. This is a Sam Presti type pick, a guy with extreme upside, extreme size, and versatility, and he's going to come in and mesh really well. They took Ousmane Dieng last year, same mode. These are the type of guys that they like to get if they can't get front court players. And boom, Bilal, welcome to OKC. Now we have an interesting team with the Rockets. We know Fred VanVleet ain't going back, but we know Gary Trent is there still. We know they have Scotty Barnes. We know that OG has been rumored to be on a trade market type thing, but at the same time, the Raptors are reluctant to trade him. They want to keep him. Pascal, if he was going to be traded, he'd be a Blazer by now. You got Jakob at the trade deadline last year. You're going to have to bring him back, though. So, I don't know. Team option, player option accepted. And then everybody else's cap hits. But I'm very, very interested to see what Jakob Poeltl is going to do and what his market is going to be like. He's a very underrated center, in my opinion. But boom, okay. Guard play. Gary Trent, OG, Pascal. This is Kobe Buffkin. Or this is Cason Wallace. What do I think Toronto would do? Or Jalen Hood-Schifino. They are in a situation where they have 3 options here on the board. What do I think the Raptors would do if they had Jalen Hood-Schifino, Cason Wallace, and Kobe Buffkin on the board? This is a great situation for them to be in. Extremely great situation for them to be in. They're going to go Kobe Buffkin. The Raptors take Kobe Buffkin. You now have Buffkin, Trent, OG, Barnes, Pascal. Hopefully they can bring somebody back. And then the Pelicans are going to take Cason Wallace. Another Kentucky guard off the board. He's probably going to go over here and hoop his ass off. The Pelicans are a team that just continue to get rich. 3-and-D guard, one of the best perimeter on-ball defenders in the draft right now. Cason Wallace. The fact that he even fell that low is ludicrous. If the Wizards still had their team, he would have probably went there at 8. And then the Hawks take Jalen Hood-Schifino, in my opinion. Prepare for the departure of DeJounte Murray eventually, whether you trade him or whether you bring him or whether you don't extend him. I can see DeJounte Murray being traded because they don't want to extend him. You now have the security blanket in Jalen Hood-Schifino who can play off of the bench behind Trae Young and whatnot. Now at 16, the Jazz are back up and they took Anthony Black. Grady Dick. They get shooting. They went and got them a guard. Now they have a sharpshooter that's going to flow in Will Hardy's offense. And now we have the Los Angeles Lakers, again, another team who, like the Mavericks, they want to trade this pick. All signs show that the Lakers want to trade this pick in some form of fashion, I believe. So it's hard to picture what to do here. When I look at this roster, D'Lo is a cap hit probably. Yeah, because he's an unrestricted free agent. Rui they should bring back. Well, the first thing they should do is bring back Austin Reeves. They need some front court help with Anthony Davis, but the front court options ain't really popping. I think it's too early to grab James Najee, in my opinion. Noah Clowney, probably a bit early. The 4, you're looking at Root. They have Jared Vanderbilt. I will give the Lakers. This is an interesting pick for the Lakers because I just don't think that they would draft here. I really think that they're going to make I'm going to give them Nick Smith Jr. Upside guard who can score, come off the bench and do something. I really don't think the Lakers are going to pick there. I would be highly surprised if that is a Laker pick. But at 18, I think this is a pick where the Heat, they need some scoring, but they do have Tyler Hero. Keontae George is in a mold of Tyler Hero. Jet Howard doesn't strike me as a Heat guy. I'm going to give him Noah Clowney. The Heat take Noah Clowney at 18 out of Alabama. I'm high on Noah Clowney because he had early in the season, I was just like, this dude is phenomenal. He's going to be amazing. Keontae George is falling, not purposefully. At 19, the Warriors on the clock. I'm going to be real. I did this yesterday on Pick a Side. I'm going to do it again here. James Najee is just a no-brainer pick, in my opinion, for the Warriors. You have Kevon Looney. He's the type of center that they need. You know, James Wiseman wasn't the Warriors type center. James Najee kind of reminds me of like a Robert Williams. Just protects the rim and is a lob threat. His footwork and his development right now, he's not a guy that can even ask for post touches. It's just not in his game. His touch around the rim isn't there on hooks and shit like that. He has a weird little float shot that he does sometimes. So he's not even a guy who's even going to think about post touches. He's literally rim running, blocking a lot of shots, and dunking anytime he can get it. And he's an amazing offensive rebounder. He is an amazing offensive rebounder. And we know the Warriors love that. And I think they can early on put him in a situation where he can play 15 to 20 minutes a game. 15 to 20 minutes a game early on. Or maybe not early on. They'll probably bring him on slowly. But I think he can get to the point in his first year where he can play 15 minutes a game for them off the bench, backing up Draymond and Kevon Looney. The Warriors need size. They tried the James Wiseman experiment, didn't go well. They got Gary Payton playing power forward. Jonathan Kuminga plays 1 minute, then he doesn't. JaMychal Green was playing 5 minutes. They took guards in the last couple years with Ryan Rollins, Moses Moody. They even took Patrick Baldwin Jr. So they need to go and get. This is the year to draft a center. And he's a guy that I think fits what they want their centers to do. Now back up, you have the Houston Rockets. I wouldn't mind them taking Leonard Miller, but I think because you have Ime, this is the type of team that needs to take a Chris Murray. They have so many guys on this team and on this roster who need the ball, and they need a guy like Chris Murray who's a little bit older, a little bit more laid back, and just a team player who really thrives with others. The Houston Rockets have, like, it makes sense, and I get the thrill with everybody. Like, everybody wants the Rockets to get all of these guys. Like, oh, man, they got Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. They should get now G.G. Jackson or Leonard Miller. Those are all guys who want and need the ball in their hands to feel comfortable. Let's get away from that. Sengun needs the ball. He's an incredible passer. Green needs the ball. Porter Jr. needs the ball. The only guy that they have that's like not necessarily tied to having the ball or doing something offensively to have some value is Tari Eason. Tari Eason is a straight-up grown man menace on the defensive side of the basketball who can play without the basketball as a cutter, a finisher, catch-and-shoot threat. You know what I'm saying? They need another one of those guys, and I think Chris Murray could be that. Just a good basketball player. Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn has to take Keontae George. He's just sitting there. He's just falling and falling and falling. Somebody in the draft is going to fall, by the way. Somebody is going to fall. I'm letting it be known right now. They take Keontae George with the first pick. The second pick, they take Leonard Miller. And now we're back with the Blazers on the board. And it's two different ways. So they took Scoot Henderson. And because they took Scoot Henderson, it makes me feel like Damian Lillard days are done. But if they were keeping Damian, then I would go with Omax out of Marquette because he fits. He's a dirty work player who does hard-nosed stuff defensively, great isolation defender, good team defender, covers a lot of ground, can switch on the perimeter and pick and rolls, and he's a catch-and-shoot guy who loves to run in transition. But because they took Scoot, I'm giving them G.G. Jackson. The Blazers get a young G.G. Jackson, and that just solidifies the rebuild. G.G. Jackson at 23 is an amazing pick for the Blazers, in my opinion. Now at 24 for the Kings, my steal of the draft. Maxwell Lewis, ladies and gentlemen, is Pee Wee the Plug, Pierre Andreessen's steal of the draft. Maxwell Lewis going this far in my mind is criminal. This is a guy that the entire year I thought would be in the teens. Somehow, some way, he's now here. Some people might have him lower. I've seen mock drafts where he's in the second round. This dude is a 6'7" wing, 20 years old, who can shoot off the catch, but he's also a scorer. He has the size and the tools to be at least an average defender. And he also has game to where he can put the ball on the floor. But because he can shoot, I think from day one, he's going to be somebody who can slowly transcend into being a guy, almost how Paul George was. Paul George came in as a wing stopper. Then he got a little bit more opportunity and was like a solid, cool guy. Danny Granger got hurt. He did a little bit more. And then he took over. And then he became an all-star. Then he became a top player in the league, MVP candidate. Like, I think Maxwell Lewis could be like a Paul George. My comparisons for him are Devin Vassell, Chris Middleton, and if he reaches his full potential, Paul George. In a sense where he can just shoot the ball lights out, but he can also score. A shooter and a scorer are two different things. And when you get players who can be both, that's dynamic. That's dynamic. You know what I mean? J.J. Redick is a shooter. Jordan Clarkson is a scorer. Steph Curry is both. Kyle Korver was a shooter. J.R. Smith, scorer. Paul George, both. Like, and then you got guys who at certain times were a little bit both, and then they, like J.R. Smith was a scorer. Later in JR's career, he became more of a fucking shooter with LeBron. But, like, this dude is both. So, remember that. Write that down. Attach my name to that. I'm putting my name and my, my reputation on the line for Maxwell Lewis. He's my guy of this draft, Maxwell. I got a lot of guys I like in this draft. I like Anthony Black. I like Jordan Hawkins, Taylor Hendricks. I like Jarace Walker. I like a lot of guys. But he is my steal. Him and Kobe Jones, these are my guys, my steals. Maxwell Lewis. All right, we got 550 people in here. Maxwell Lewis. Remember, another Lorenzo Romar prospect as well. Lorenzo Romar coaches Pepperdine, used to coach Washington, coach Isaiah Thomas, who went to the league, DeJounte Murray, Marquise Chris, Brandon Roy, Terrence Ross, Markelle Fultz. I'm forgetting a couple. Nate Robinson. I'm forgetting a couple. Spencer Hawes. Spencer Hawes was a top player, by the way, if y'all don't remember. I still feel like I'm forgetting a few more. You get the gist. Almost recruited MPJ. Should have got MPJ, but MPJ's dad joined Mizzou's coaching staff, so MPJ went to Mizzou. Had that not happened, Lorenzo Romar probably gets Michael Porter Jr. as well. I'll forget. Matisse Thybulle went to Washington. KP trade not happening. They telling me to check Twitter. Porzingis went to the Bucks, y'all saying? The 3-team talks haven't fallen apart. Why somebody say Porzingis you are a Buck? Okay, that's good. That's good. Because that means something else finna happen then. Can the Lakers get Porzingis? The Grizzlies are on the clock. Dylan Brooks is not coming back. Ja's going to miss 25 games, but I think this team can still be good. Tyus Jones, people are saying they're shopping around. He might can get traded. I don't buy into that. With everything that's going on with Ja, I think the value for Tyus Jones with the Grizzlies goes up. My personal opinion, could be wrong. You still have Desmond Bane. You have Jaren Jackson, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Steven Adams is a good vet there. And I just love the way that they draft. I love Brandon Clark. That was a good pickup for them. Xavier Tillman was a good pickup. Kenny Lofton was a good pickup. David Roddy, Jake LaRavia, Zaire Williams. The Zaire Williams pick always kind of gets me because it was super early at 10. But I can't hate on it too much. Luke Kennard, this team is going to need some guard or wing help. And I'm going to give them Ryan Rupert, who I was told about years ago from my boy Matt Harris. I hope he's in the chat. Shout out to Matt Harris. 3-and-D guy. Hopefully the 3 catches up to the defense. And then at Indiana is back up at 26. And they already took who? I took Jarace Walker with them. So I think you have to take Jet Howard, a sniper. A big-ass sniper. Put him out there with Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin. And then if you trade Buddy Hield, you still have a sniper there. Bryce Sensabaugh is kind of falling down. I'm realizing he's slipping and going lower and lower and lower. Do I want Bryce with the Hornets? Yeah, let's take Bryce Sensabaugh with the. They took Brandon Miller. Let's give them. Who is there? Let me see their depth chart. LaMelo, Rozier, Dennis Smith Jr., Bouknight, Bridges, Brandon Miller, PJ, Mark Williams. Kobe Jones wouldn't be a bad pick here. They need somebody like that. I'm going to give him Dariq Whitehead. Let's get a Hornets Dariq Whitehead. Shot the ball. 3-and-D guy. I think he can be a really, really good 3-and-D guy. Also can create for himself. The 2-foot injuries or surgeries that he had kind of is a little scary, but he's also one of the top players coming into his class. And he just had a tough freshman year dealing with injuries. But I still buy into the stock with Dariq Whitehead. 28 with the Jazz. Now I give them Bryce Sensabaugh. To be able to get Bryce Sensabaugh this late is incredible. At 29, this should not be the Pacers. This should be the Denver Nuggets. And if the Denver Nuggets were drafting at 29, they get Omax. And instead of trading for Malcolm Brogdon, the Clippers take Kobe Jones with the 30th pick. And that is our first round. Voila. And I'm going to be the first person to tell you, after 10, my confidence is shaky in this draft, man. And this is kind of how it's been the last few years, where Jordan Hawkins, his range could go for anywhere from, as high as 11 to fucking 22. There's so many players with wide ranges. This shit can go so many different ways. Kobe Buffkin, he could go from 12 to 22. G.G. Jackson can go from 15 to 23 or 25. I could see G.G. Jackson going a little bit lower than that. Bryce Sensabaugh, you've probably seen Bryce Sensabaugh in a lot of different mock drafts going way higher than 28. Just how the draft is going to be this year. Cason Wallace, Jalen Hood, Shafin, I don't know. Thank you. I'm not mad at that one, though. I kind of like how this turned out, but thank you, Chess at LOL.